We're back talking about silent reflux and how it can result in one of America's deadliest cancers, cancer of the esophagus. Dr. Jamie Kaufman and Dr. Jonathan Aviv are two doctors on the front lines fighting this disease. Dr. Kaufman, let me start with you. You coined the term silent reflux. So we've got the mother of the term here. And I'd just love to understand a tiny bit about how silent reflux is different from the typical acid reflux that everyone associates with heartburn.
I'm a laryngologist. I take care of people with throat problems and voice problems. And I was trained as an ear, nose, and throat physician. So we see people with hoarseness, cough, sinusitis, the sensation of a lump in the throat. You've listed these symptoms. What's really not clear to most people is that these symptoms can result from the backflow of acid and enzymes from the stomach without actually having heartburn or obvious symptoms. In other words, the silent refers to the fact that you can have reflux without it being obviously reflux.
Dr. Aviv, these are pretty common symptoms. All the things you mentioned, they can be associated with a cold, with allergies, with asthma, as we just heard a little bit earlier. How do you know if you have one of those common diagnoses or if you actually have silent reflux?
One of the main points is the longevity of the symptoms, how long you've had the symptoms. If you have cough, if you have hoarseness, and it lasts more than 8 weeks, you should really start thinking about what's going on in the stomach, in the esophagus, and in your larynx.
All right, so important clues. So I want to save some lives now. We're going to do it with a really cool screening tool. The screening tool has been given to everyone here in the audience to help you assess your risk of silent reflux. Everyone watching at home, you can go to droz.com, and we're going to have these exact questions there as well, or you can write them down as you go through them on the screen. Okay, so how does it work? Walk us through it.
Okay. Any patient that comes in, whether it's an initial visit or a follow-up visit, fills out a questionnaire. This questionnaire is called the Reflux Symptom Index. It is a 5-question questionnaire, and we rate the symptoms. We rate what the patient is feeling from 0 to 5, where 0 is, I don't have any of these symptoms, and 5 is the most severe symptom I've ever had.
All right, so you all clear on the rules? 0 to 5, here are the 5 questions. Let's go along together on this. Within the last month, how many of you in a score 0 to 5 have had this following problem affect you? Hoarseness or a problem with your voice? That raspy voice that we heard a little bit earlier. Excess throat mucus or a postnasal drip is the second question. Troublesome or an annoying cough? Yours or someone else's? You can point it out to them as well. Again, the point of this quiz, which is on droz.com, is share it with people in your life. A sensation of something sticking in your throat or a lump in your throat. Often, again, written off to something else, but it could be reflux. And finally, heartburn, chest pain, indigestion, or stomach acid coming up. These are the classic signs of indigestion. Obviously, if you have them, oftentimes they're there, but they're sort of subtle. So, Dr. Aviv, after you add up all those points, what do you do?
If the number is greater than 10, you need further investigation.
So the aggregate number for all 5 questions add up more than 10. So if you all in the audience are done, I'd like to see a hand count of people whose score for these 5 questions was more than 10. Put your hands up.
Oh, wow.
This is amazing. I bet it's about 40% of the audience, maybe half, which is the number that both my experts have been saying truly exists out there. A startling high figure. So, Christy, at the clinic, your score was also over a 10.
Yes, it was.
Does that surprise you at all in retrospect?
To be honest, a little, yes. I didn't know what to expect. So looking at the numbers, I was completely flabbergasted.
So, Dr. Kaufman, if your score is over a 10, what do you suggest?
You should definitely have a throat examination, because the throat examination will reveal not only whether or not the diagnosis is silent reflux, but its relative severity.
All right. So you looked at Christy's throat, Dr. Kaufman, and you determined that she actually needed a little bit more of a follow-up visit. Why was that?
We grade them for purposes like in school, where A is very, very good and F is failing. F minus. Christy's was F minus. She had so much swelling and inflammation, it really didn't almost look like the same normal structure that you would see.
Christy, have you ever gotten an F minus before in class?
Absolutely. No, I have not.
Yeah. You don't want it to happen in your body.
Definitely not.
So Christy went in for some additional testing with Dr. Kaufman,
Yes.
which was just concluded. So when we come back, we're going to have her